Tao Meeting Archives, September 20th, 2015. The Tao of Sanaatana Dharma by Ed Monaghan.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the meeting beginning ritual. 起立，面向佛堂，参下三鞠躬，一鞠躬，再鞠躬，三鞠躬，参下各位顶禅师一鞠躬，开班一鞠躬，请坐下。Please be seated. Okay.
As you know, I've had a heart arrhythmia for, 15 years or so. Had a couple operations for it, which didn't work, and it's been an incredible teacher to me. And so I've been going through this wonderful period of growth, which I consider to be of a spiritual nature. And last Tuesday, my heart lapsed into a perpetual state of arrhythmia. So it was previously paroxysmal, which means that it was intermittent. And so, this means that I'll need another procedure done to possibly send it back into sinus rhythm and keep it that way. But I've spoken with, I think I had mentioned a gentleman that I consider one of my teachers, whose name is Anand Manora, who's a Vedic practitioner, who I'm actually going to reference today in the talk. And he said that when your mind is in the correct space and your spirit is in the correct space, that's the time to perform the next procedure, because if it's not in the correct space, then just like before, it won't work. So I'm getting ready to embark on a trip to China with my Qigong teacher, and I'm told that it would be good to do the procedure when I get back. So it looks like these things are all the dots are lining up. So we'll see how it all pans out, but it's going to be an excellent journey regardless of the circumstance.
Well, our thoughts and prayers are with you. We'll be thinking of you and sending you positive energy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Last Sunday I went out to Master Show to get a treatment. I'm going out for all of my treatments are actually out near where the temple is, because it's all around Alhambra and El Monte. So I have to do my hour drive from Valencia to get out there, and sometimes the times conflict, so I apologize for not being available, but that's what's going on.
You got to take care of yourself first.
Yeah, if I fall over, it'll be hard to give PowerPoint presentations.
Okay. So we're ready to get going. I will go on mute.
Sounds good. All right, well, it's good to speak with everybody. Nice to, I can't say nice to see you, but nice to know that you're there anyway. I was a bit rushed, a bit hurried in putting this together today, and it's a rather immense topic. So I'm going to launch off this synopsis, and as it seems to be an emerging theme, tie that back to the Tao, which of course, is my fondest topic, and this exploration of paths that I embark on in order to do so. So what I would like to do is go through an introduction to part of what I have been researching for some time. This is a bit of a hyper-condensed module of something that I teach at UCLA, but also something that is a bit too large for a half-hour presentation. In fact, it will probably be less than that, because I'm going to kind of cut to the chase really fast and bypass a lot of the historical data and information that I usually give in lectures. So that having been said, I'd like to discuss Sanaatana Dharma. A lot of folks are unfamiliar with that term, but Sanatana or Sanatan Dharma, and I'll just go ahead and read this definition, comprises the timeless truths which are rooted in eternity. They predate the forming of the world and cannot be confined to one earthly religion. Sanatan Dharma embraces indeed all of manifest existence. This is from Swami Kriyananda, who was a student of Paramahansa Yogananda, who was the founder of the Self-Realization Fellowship back in the 30s. The Dharma, Sanatana, is very closely linked to Hinduism, and in fact, by some accounts, it can be interchangeable, because essentially it's kind of the root of the Hindu practice. But it's a little different. And this is, I think, a good synopsis of what the difference is from a website called differencebetween.net. So I thought that would be appropriate. So Sanatana Dharma is the oldest religion in the world. It is based upon the collection of spiritual laws discovered by rishis thousands of years ago. It prescribes certain duties that a human being must perform to achieve fulfillment of life. Sanatana Dharma is prehistoric and absolute in nature. On the other hand, the term Hindu or Hindu Dharma is given by Persians only a few centuries ago to mean the people living behind the river Sindhu. With the beginning of the 19th century, Hindu came to be understood as a collective term to describe the religion practiced by Indians as well as the people of India. So that's an important distinction to make, in that very similar to the Tao as compared to Taoism, in that this way, this path, refers to that universal truth. The same way that we know that the Tao is universal, it is timeless, it is ageless, it is titleless, and that it's just a word that we use to be able to describe this. So the main thrust of this is that there's a universal truth that was espoused by these teachers, these ancient sages. And that's the core of it. And then the religious practice itself is separate from that. You know, they may be intertwined in terms of the relation between the rituals, but the actual truth, the foundation of it, is called Sanatana Dharma. And where does this really emanate from? So if we look historically at the root texts which come from India, which is often considered to be really the eldest of most of the philosophical traditions on earth. But very interesting, we see this all emerge in different ways in similar time periods. So the idea behind this was that there is this ancient body of knowledge that all of us are privy to because we're connected to it. We're connected to the very essence of our beings. And how do we find that? How have we been divided, the sense of duality that we have manifested in material existence? Well, there are texts that explain this, and the most prominent of which come out of India are called the Vedas. And these are the great spiritual texts of ancient India attributed to the spiritual masters who were attuned to the spiritual truths of the universe. The Upanishads are a section of the Vedas focusing on meditation, spiritual knowledge, and philosophy. The Mahabharata are, this is a great allegorical epic poem which presents the two main characters, Arjuna and Krishna, as they move between these two great armies. So again, this is an allegory. It's a story that represents the individual, the self, the person, the true self. So Arjuna symbolizes the devotee, the person who seeks divine salvation and union with God. Krishna symbolizes God himself, the divine self within each human being. And the Bhagavad Gita is literally called the Song of God. And the Gita is a sub-story of the Mahabharata. And I hope I'm saying that correctly because it's been a while since I taught these lectures. But you get the general gist of what I'm conveying. So there are this larger body of work called the Vedas. The Upanishads are a section of that, a section of it that focus on meditation, spiritual knowledge, and philosophy. And then there is this long allegorical poem. So this, to me, again, is very similar to what we see with works like the Tao Te Ching and Chuang Tzu's work, which teach through allegory and teach through the essence of story in order to communicate these great spiritual truths to us so that we can find our way. The Bhagavad Gita is really considered to be the most popular and well-read. It's kind of considered to be the Hindu Bible. And it is cut in, again, to sections. So what we see is karma yoga, which is right action, jnana yoga, which is wisdom and discrimination, bhakti yoga, which is that of devotion, and then raja yoga, which is translated as the royal yoga, the pathway of the spine, or prana. So a few weeks ago, I can't remember exactly when it was, I talked about Patanjali when we talked about the spirit of true yoga. And this is the essence of where we go with this. And so this idea of how we approach living and how we approach life, we see that there are these different components to our existence. And how do we learn how to find this union? The whole point of the Bhagavad Gita is to have a union with self and a union with God, the true self, this essence from which we came, the Tao. And there are different paths for doing this, and we're all drawn to different paths, and that's the beauty of the Tao to me, is that there are all of these different ways. I spoke with Anand, my guru, this morning in India, and we talked about the separation of the ego self from the true essence, the true self, and being able to discern between the being overtaken by sensory pleasures, by trying to disassociate ourselves from the true path by being distracted. So the Tao talks about there are these, Derek has mentioned it in multiple lectures, this middle path, it has these flashing lights and attractions off to the side, which seem to be the shortcuts. Take me, take me, take me. These are the distractions that pull us by the wayside, that distract us from our emergence, our union with the true self, with the true path. at least to me. And these practices, the ones that we experience through ritual, again, are designed to raise the energy from the base level dantians or the chakras and pull the energy up from that core of survival mechanisms to the spiritual path, to the higher aspirations. And that's really what this is all about, is how do we're in this material existence. So I would argue that the illusion of the material existence, yes, because we merge back into that unification, that state of oneness. But it's clear that we are here for some reason, that this material existence is with us because of, and again, this journey, this path that we're all on to emerge in some way, to get better, to grow. Derek's used the analogy many times of that if we emulate nature, all things grow toward the light. So if we look at that, we in our essence, as we grow, as we emerge, and as we eventually dissolve back into nothingness, it's a journey for some purpose. I would very much hesitate to say that it's for nothing at all. We just kind of come out of nothing, do our thing, and then just dissolve back into nothing again for no reason. I don't find that to be something that feels true in my heart. So, again, this is a very broad topic, and it's extraordinarily vast, yet at the same time, the essence of it is very succinct. And I think we can kind of all feel it in our bones. What I would like to offer you is a wonderful journey, if you're interested in the Bhagavad Gita, because there are literally thousands of translations, and most of them are rather obtuse. It's kind of difficult to glean the, kind of like it is in the Tao Te Ching, without a guide to lead us through that. It's very difficult to unravel the layers of meanings. So, as with the Tao Te Ching, Derek is our guide. The Bhagavad Gita, there's a wonderful, translation, but explanation of it, called The Essence of the Bhagavad Gita, as explained by Paramahansa Yogananda and his student Swami Kriyananda. It's called exactly that, The Essence of the Bhagavad Gita. And the reason that this is such, in my opinion, a wonderful translation and description is because it comes from someone who spent their entire existence moving toward the higher self, moving toward union with God, or union with the Tao, if you like. And that the truth of that experience, the wisdom of the experience of living in that manner, is an entirely different perspective than the academic's approach to the translation of Sanskrit. So that, you will see accurate translations based on the linguistic properties. However, is there an actual understanding of these metaphorical and allegorical stories that are being told? And how does that apply in our lives? That's what Yogananda is able to do very adeptly and very clearly. And these, I've been reading this hand in hand with a book called Living in the Presence of God by a 17th century friar who was Catholic, and you could put them side by side, and they're identical in terms of the actual essence of what's being communicated and taught and shared. So I would highly recommend purchasing this book. You can find it on Amazon and any bookstore, really. Most of them have it. And you may find that this is very helpful in your personal journey, because many of these truths and practices are explained much in the way that we approach things from the Tao perspective, in that it's all about the core essence, the one simple truth that all things emanate from, and they just are seen in different shapes, different forms, different incarnations. That's the essence of what's being taught. And I personally very much identify with that way, and not the thought of being forced into the very ego-based perspective of only one path is the single way that one can achieve unity with the ultimate essence. I don't find that to be a reasonable assumption. So that is my talk for today. As distracted as I was, and as diffused as that is a bit, I apologize for being a little bit rough around the edges, but hopefully it was interesting to some of you guys, and you can find something interesting in it to take to your own course of study.
Thank you, Ed. I, for one, find it very interesting and also very timely. I've recently begun to practice yoga, and I just I really enjoyed the heck out of it. And you know, I appreciate learning more about this vast background of information. You know, that's part for which the physical practice of a yoga session is only the tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and do our meeting ending ritual for today. Everyone, please follow me. 起立，面向佛堂，持下3鞠躬，1鞠躬，再鞠躬，3鞠躬，持下多一点的是1鞠躬，接班1鞠躬。Well done, everyone. Thank you so much.
Join the Tao meeting live to participate in the questions and commentary. For more information, go to http://taoism.net/tao/connect-online.